Hi everybody, Julia, Stock Business Revolutionary with Be Astute. We are continuing our A to Z of business vocabulary and we've made it on to Q. There were two words that I came up with for Q. One was quitting, one was quoting. So I think I'm going to cover them both in the same thing and entertain you. Quitting as a business owner is something that we do quite a lot, but don't necessarily give ourselves credit for it, if credit is the right word. However, when it comes to actually accepting that our business is at the end of its natural path, actually business owners are incredibly too close to the problem and tend to make very bad decisions. We are natural optimists. We have very strong faith in our own abilities and skills, particularly once you've been doing it for a long time and you've weathered your way through multiple storms. You actually have a lot of innate confidence in your ability. You've seen the worst that the world can throw at you and you're going, yeah, I've got the skills to cope. Being able to say, the world is conspiring against me, circumstances have changed, we have reached a stage where I need to be finding something else to do, is incredibly difficult, and we are too close to the problem. It is all emotion. None of it is rational thinking. And so we tend to make, as a group of people, as a stereotype, bad decisions. I remember back when I was running my last business, should have ended it sooner. Certainly should have ended my relationship with that business sooner. Put myself through an awful lot more pain and angst than I needed to. But I was convinced I could turn it around, and then suddenly you can't. The impact of not quitting when you should is that you reduce the amount of money that you're able to take out of the business, which impacts your ability to go off and do something else instead. Why do we do this? One, because of this innate way our brains are operated. Two, it feels like failure. That's because it is failure. And there's no way around that. We're doing this because we failed to make a success of it. And yes, the world might have conspired against us. We still failed. It's still horrible. We also can have a lack of imagination in terms of what comes next. So we keep going running our business because we don't have a better plan. That's something we can do something about. We are choosing not to have a better plan. We're choosing to stay with our heads in the sand because we feel safe, even though we're miserable. When somebody boots you over the edge of that cliff, it's terrifying, but also really good. So it's not necessarily something that we should be afraid of, yet we still are. So that is quitting. Quoting, much more positive. Probably should be splitting this up, but never mind. In terms of quoting for work, a lot of business owners lose a lot of money by not quoting well. Often because we're taking too long. The point about selling, and we all have to sell, is we're creating buzz and excitement. So we've just had this amazing meeting with somebody and they've gone, wow, that's fantastic. I'm excited. Yeah, baby. And we're going, yeah, we'll send you a proposal sometime. Wow, that's a bit of a letdown, isn't it? The reason why we're sending you a proposal sometime is because perhaps we haven't explained to the client just how much thought will be going into it. But often it's because we've got poor proposal skills. We haven't made it easy for ourselves. We're perhaps not necessarily packaging things up. So we've got to think about it every single time. We present that to ourselves as delivering a bespoke solution to the customer. Brilliant. But the customer might not want a bespoke solution and need one or even desire one. So we have made an assumption about what the customer wants. By packaging things up, actually, one, we tend to get paid more for our services. Woohoo. And second, it allows us to move the speed on in the sales process and allows the customer to feel more in control. Often when somebody doesn't say yes to your proposal, it's because you haven't quite hit the nail on the head. And that's the problem with doing something bespoke, is the customer looks at it and goes, nah, it's not really rocking my world. They don't know why it's not rocking their world, but you haven't given them additional options. Whereas if we put 2 or 3 packages in front of somebody, they tend to go, oh yeah, that one will do. It's a much quicker decision making, much clearer. They're making a choice. You're putting control supposedly in their hands, but actually it's a bit of a toddler decision. Are you having the apple or the orange? Those of you who have ever been parents of small children will remember this fantastic technique. Apple, orange. Something unhealthy is not on the table, so you're picking this one or this one. But the child feels more in control of their life, their circumstances, and therefore tends to be more compliant. I'm not quite sure why we don't treat adults in the same way a lot of the time, because we all respond really positively to clear communication, simple boundaries, and knowing where we stand. And all of those make the sales process move on much quicker. If you nail proposals and selling and getting customers to say yes, quitting is something that we don't need to do. Or we can quit on our terms when we've made so much money from our business. We're heading off to Barbados because we can afford the entire island. So that's Q for quitting and quoting, the A to Z of Business Vocab.